Hi everyone. So one of the questions that I get asked is, what is a rubric? So I wanted to make a short little video just to give you some general information about what a rubric is. We're not going to get into the philosophy behind rubrics, into the scholarly resources we could look at that support the use of rubrics. We're not getting into that. We're just going to look at what they are and what they look like. So within the faculty fundamental requirements, we talk a lot about rubrics in the grading section. Assignment rubrics must be completed and do not override established scores within the rubric. Provide substantive feedback throughout the grading rubric. As you go through, it talks a lot about the rubric. So we're not going to talk about when it's not embedded. We're going to focus on the embedded rubrics and what those look like. So you can view SNHU's full faculty fundamental requirements by going to this link, and you can view all of them right there, including this grading and feedback section. So we hear that feedback must be provided within the rubric, but what is a rubric? Well, put simply, it's a tool used for grading. It always contains evaluation criteria, definitions of the criteria, and scoring information, and it's specific for each assignment. So for example, if you have a student writing a paper about something, you will have different criteria than if they are just doing examine two sides of something, for example. The rubrics are going to be different depending upon the assignment. So here's an example of a rubric. So as we talked about, we have the critical elements, we have the criteria over here, all the different criteria, and then we have the point information, and we have the information that talks about what that would mean. So for example, to be proficient in this, the person would have to indicate data choice and explain why this particular data set is so important. And so if a student would do that, then you would say the student was proficient. So this is a rubric. So when we talk about providing feedback within the rubric, that's where this is, the score and feedback. Once you click on whichever of the scores you feel is the most accurate for that student's work, in this section is where you would put the feedback. But again, this is what a rubric is right here, this information right here. Now, in some courses, your rubric may go on and on. Your critical elements, you may have 10 critical elements that you're examining. And all of the critical element titles are over here. And then you also have all of the points, and then what it means to earn those points, what the criteria is for earning said points. So it's the same with all of these. So this is what a rubric looks like. When we go to the discussion board, our rubric looks a little bit different. This is a rubric in the discussion board. All undergraduate discussion board rubrics look the same. So regardless of which class you're in, this is what your rubric will look like. You will have a comprehension section, the timeliness, engagement, and writing and mechanics. And so this is your rubric. To provide feedback within the rubric, you'll click on feedback and then type in the feedback. But this is a rubric right here for a discussion board. And notice, unlike the one we just saw for the assignment, we also have an exemplary category for most of these. You don't have it for the timeliness. Timeliness, it would just be proficient. There's no exemplary. But the rubric has that extra column in it. So just be aware, sometimes you will have a section for exemplary and other times you will not. So a rubric is not the same as the overall score row. So we're going to start talking about what it's not. So the overall score row appears beneath the rubric. We should not be entering any feedback into that section or making any changes. So don't go through and click any of these, and don't click into the score and feedback to enter any information. This row should not be touched. Just ignore it and pretend it's not there. So that is not a rubric. A rubric is also not the same as the feedback column that can be seen when you click Grade All. If you go into the grade book by the assignment and you go to Grade All, you see this little feedback column. This is not a rubric. So this is not what a rubric is, and this is the general feedback section where we are asked to provide some information. If you go back to that FFR, that third bullet talks about putting something in the general feedback. And that is where this could be put in. You could enter it in here, or you could also do it from the next place I'll show you. So a rubric is also not the same as a general feedback box seen at the bottom of discussion rubrics. Beneath the discussion rubric, you have this general feedback box We still need to type something in here, but this is not a rubric. This is a feedback box, okay? So that's not a rubric. So rubrics are where you click to enter the proficiency level, and it's also where your feedback goes. So again, just to kind of recap, rubrics are used for grading. They are used so that you can show a student's level of proficiency, proficient, needs improvement, not evident, or even exemplary. And so you use the rubric to score. We do not change grades. When you click in the rubric and give a score, we don't edit those scores. Whatever score you give by clicking in the rubric is the score that needs to remain. And then when we're asked to put feedback within the rubric, these are the rubrics where we would put the feedback in. So there's a lot of information out there about why use rubrics, why it's so important, why it's so beneficial, how it helps teachers and students and schools, and the benefits of it. And if you're interested in reading on that, I encourage you to take a look at the importance of rubrics. This is kind of, I keep being asked, what is a rubric? So I want to just give you this tiny little snippet and just kind of show you these are rubrics. That way, hopefully, any of you who are having some difficulty determining what a rubric is or have no idea and say, I've never seen a rubric, you get kind of a general idea of what a rubric is. And I'm hoping that this is beneficial to some of you. So going back to the primary thing with rubrics, you have to enter feedback within the rubric. So now that you know what a rubric is, that's where you're going to be placing feedback. And you can actually visit any of these to go and see information about how to put feedback within a rubric. So these are some great resources that you can use. And I will make sure that in the comment section, I will put all of these links in there so that you can easily access them. So thank you for watching. I hope this has helped clarify what a rubric is. Again, my intention is not to give you, the whys of a rubric or anything like that, or to explain, the whole science behind doing rubrics and how it involves all these different. That's not what this is about. This is just, I've gotten the question, what is a rubric? Or been told, I have no idea what a rubric is. Can you explain what a rubric is and what it looks like? This video is my way of trying to give you a visual for that and give you some information that hopefully will be beneficial. So I really hope that this helps. And if you have any questions or need any further support on what a rubric is, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help. And thank you so much for watching.